Hello, whoa, I'm way too focused in. Hello, everybody. It is now fall, and here is a lovely little thing I made a couple years ago. I wish it was on a string. I'd go ahead and wear it. But hello, how are you? I tell you, I have scatterbrain problems, ADHD, not as much the hyperactivity, although sometimes I do wonder. But I have this problem that I can hyper-focus on something, and when I hyper-focus, it's hard for me to stop what I'm doing. And I have all best intentions, but it is just hard. One thing I have found to try, because I'm really good at being on time, not always with this show, but being on time to go places, and that's something I was never good at. And what I've found is if I have an appointment, I don't start a project right before I go to my appointment, because if I have a 1 o'clock appointment, if I start something important before then, I'll never get ready in time. So I apologize about that. It's frustrating. I'm sure for y'all it can be very frustrating for me. But I'm here. I'm hanging in there. I have been working this morning trying to get all of the color blocking done to our wonderful fall landscape quilt. So let me show you what I've gotten done. Now, as with about any project, the success is editing, editing, editing. And that's something I have to do with myself, because I can get so bogged down in minutia that then I look at it and go, oh, this is way too busy, way too much. So I'm still at the too much stage with this, but I'm going to, let me see which way I want this. Okay. But I'm going to start editing as well. So here is our current project. This is based on the beautiful artwork of Reid, and he is from Reid, I accidentally inhaled. Wrong. Reid is from WenderAspire, an Etsy group and an Etsy site, and he does these beautiful stained glass looking paintings on tiles, and I will make sure to type in that address. But last night I was working on it. I've been working on this for days, I mean hours a day, and to the point where I'm like, you know, my eyes were sore last night from working on it for 7.5 hours, and then started again today and did it earlier in the week. And let me type in, but his work is so beautiful, and I want you to go and visit his site. Okay, he is whoops, let me put my glasses on. Bonnie, I didn't have my glasses on yet. WenderAspire.etsy.com. All right, and so if you go to his site, and you can see all the beautiful things. Now let me show you which one this is based on, and it is based on an amazing quilt. Let me bring this over, put it, whoops, come on, come with me, come Come on. I'm trying to get it. There we go. We're getting it there. All right. It is based on this. And this is fall in the Smoky Mountains. And I thought, this is so beautiful. Just beautiful. And so my tree is looking a little heavy. I've got to go back in and do some editing. Last night when I took a break to eat dinner, and I always hang it up on a quilt that's hanging in my living room, and that's I use as kind of my distancing and design wall. And I was sitting eating going, nope, something's wrong. And what had happened is right in here, I was still too dark. Because you can see here, these are actually different values. This is a very nice dark clear blue. Then you've got some teal, kind of turquoisey blue. Then you've got a gray blue. Then you've got a purple blue and a light lavender blue. Then back to a more pure grayish blue. Then white, then orange. And the teal turquoise presents itself again up here at the top. So, unfortunately, when I saw this darker shade, I just made these two too dark, which then all of a sudden I had to transition to a very pale blue, and I wasn't able to do that. And don't forget, when we do our landscapes, and now I'm going to hold mine back up to let you see, but when we do our landscapes, please remember that the color is more intense and more dark closer to the camera, and it fades out further away. Okay? So just remember that. That will help you a lot to make sure. I'm going to tilt this camera more even because it's giving you a false sense. It was slightly tilted. So, but anyway, so there we go. It's coming along. And now let me come up to the close-up camera and we'll take a look and we will see let's get this and let's see what I have planned, what I've gotten done so far. And let's talk about this landscape. Now, on last week's show, and I do have the free pattern for this, so let me come up here. Oh, they don't ship to Canada. Oh, darn. You know what? We might have to do a little relay there. We'll see. But, okay. So, I wonder why he doesn't ship to Canada. I know right now Canadians are having a hard time. You know what? It's probably from the stupid tariff thing. I watch a wonderful show, Sandy Brock, S-A-N-D-I, and she's a sheep farmer from up in Canada. And that poor gal is going through so much because she's having a big sale. People love her t-shirts, mugs, wool from her actual sheep. And she's having a terrible time. Hi, Miss Mary. Okay, let me see. So I want to send our time to quilt at gmail.com. Okay. So, yep. So anyway, but it's just very frustrating because it's getting in the way of a lot of good trade right now that everyone needs, as we know. And so here we go. So I started at the bottom and then worked upwards. Hello, Miss Linda Williams. Oh, Canadian Postal Service, is it still on strike? Oh boy, that's a mess. That's adding to problems too. So one thing I've noticed is right now mine is a little too bright in looking at his. But that's okay. I got the closest base color or the main color I see. Block it out. And then I'm going to come in with my next stage, since I have this all blocked in. My next stage is to put it on my sewing machine and use invisible thread, monofilament, monopoly is my favorite mix, but I'm going to zigzag every single piece around here. And when I do that, I'm going to try to count how many pieces this quilt has in it, because it's got dozens of different fabrics, but I have a feeling hundreds of individual pieces. So anyway, here we go, and I showed you last week. I started at the bottom because what I did is then I tucked under most of the fabrics. Now I say most of the fabrics because towards the end I was starting to lose my mind. And it was like, just get this done. So I didn't always tuck under every edge here and there, but most of them I tried to, because I just didn't want raw pieces this time. So, but I just started working here and trying to match what I saw in his artwork, trying to match it the best I can. Now, sometimes I got a little bright, like this orange mix is a little brighter than his. His was more of a brown. I'm not worried. I picked the fabric that had the modeling that most replicated what he did, and in places like this, I put two different fabrics for this part because I really wanted to get the shapes and stuff correct. But then I've done a little bit of editing here. I put a shadow behind this tree, and just to give it a little bit of depth. But mostly this artwork is so beautiful that there wasn't much for me to do. It's not that I try to correct anyone's artwork. That's not it. That's not what I'm trying to say. I try to put my own touch on it. So maybe I like a certain kind of tree, or maybe I like a certain kind of shrubbery or whatever. But this work was so beautiful and perfect. I said, you know what? I am just going to work with and try to get as close to what he has. Now, oh, thank you, Miss Mary. Sometimes that's tricky because some of the pieces can be so tiny. And remember, this is copying a painting, and so it's one thing to do it with color, it's another thing to do it with fabric. You try your best. I didn't want to look clunky and clumsy, but this is just the color blocking. Just the color blocking. So what the next step, I told you I'm going to zigzag all the pieces down. That's important because fusible is good for temporary fusing. It is not any good for permanent. Not unless it says permanent fix. So, and I'm using the Heat and Bond Light because it's sewable. And then I also use tacky thread because where I tucked it under means it wasn't touching the fusible, and so then I would use the tacky thread. But the nice thing about that, having an edge to tuck, I could tuck some of the fabrics under others, and it just made it a little bit easier, a little bit more fun. So, so after I do the zigzagging with the monofilament, then the next thing I'm going to do is to start doing thread sketching. I want to give more relief on the tree. I love how this fabric, doesn't that look like a shadow line of the branches? So this wonderful patterned fabric really is helping me. In fact, look at the darkness on this side. Isn't that? wonderful. Uh-oh, did I say tacky thread? I meant tacky glue. So I would use tacky glue under the edges that I had tucked under, you know, kind of tucked under the seam allowance, so there would be a nice smooth edge, but not tacky thread. There is actually a thread that you can use to sew that when you iron it will then act as a fusible, but I don't have any of that. So anyway, but I'm liking this better. I've had to go in and make sure to put sky, because one of the things I loved about the original tree was you could see through the branches, and I thought that was really lovely. And so I'm seeing that I am getting some of that effect, which is nice. But as I said last night, I had to rip all of this out and do it again, because it was just too dark. And you need to be able to have the progression in the mountains. This is a huge mountain range, all the way from this, when you first see the blue, all the way to here is all mountain range. So I wanted to do, every stage is a key player in the final outcome. When I go and do some thread painting, then I will take colors of thread that help define the lines of the mountain. So I'll always work on a shade darker or lighter than the fabric and just stitch along. Now I can also do that with a permanent pen, and I forgot the name, Micron. I love the Microns. You can use Sharpie, but understand they tend to bleed, but Microns don't. They stay where you put them. So I can always do Micron and just draw in between every different fabric, draw a line around each one, because that really helps make it pop. In the original artwork, it has supposed pretend leading, like a stained glass, so that gives each piece definition. But what I, instead, to replicate the look of leading, I would have to do a satin stitch, and I hate satin stitches, just hate them. So, but I may do even maybe a tiny little zigzag if I have to, but I'll try to come in with some darker thread and define these mountains. I'll have my laptop with the original artwork up while I'm doing this, so that I can try to stay as true to the original as possible. And I do want to thank Reid so much, because he is given his full endorsement for us to use his artwork, and you can't beat that. That is absolutely wonderful. But like over here, I'm supposed to have 2 tree trunks, little tree trunks back in the woods. I will do that with thread. Okay, just do a nice little satin stitch tree trunk back in here. Yeah, Micron pens are wonderful. And then where it comes, you know, I told you how I have some of these are just too bright. This is too bright. I will come in with a darker of this rusty orange thread, and I will dapple, do tiny little sewing and dapple lines and define the rest of this fall colored tree. The same with here. I'll probably come in with maybe a little bit lighter thread and really make this look like the tree that it is. And but there are tiny pieces to get the colorations right. I tried on this to use fabric that had a natural stripe in it. It just was really hard to get it to come out right. So you just kind of have to make decisions, decide what's important, decide what is just too hard and going to drive you crazy. And I just looked at this and I thought, you know what? This might be a good place for a little deer in the background. but I might add a little something like that, but I want to stay true to his artwork. So then I've come in and I will give definition to the leaves. I'm going to give texture with thread painting with the leaves. And you can do a zigzag like a lightning bolt. Hello, Miss Michelle. You can do a zigzag like a lightning bolt, or you can do little circles or little odd shapes, anything like that that will give a feeling of the number of leaves that make up this color. I will also give the tree trunk some little bit more definition, give it shading. This is, your sun is up here, so the light is coming this way. So I will take lighter brown threads and stitch on along here to give highlight to that. I'll take darker threads, even black, and try to give shadowing here. And I'll do that also for some of the branches to a lesser degree because they're not getting the amount of sunlight because of all the leaves here. So I definitely want to give texture to these leaves. I like that when I first saw it, so I said okay, and that'll probably take me a while because it's probably going to be little tiny circles and dimpling on some of it, and but then I like I said, I need to define these swaths of mountain so that I can really give a good feel like he had in the original artwork. Then coming up here, it's always tricky in how to do sun. And I am not probably done with this yet. I put, let me bring this down, I put a little swath of a pale yellow because it had, these are, it's a cloudy sky and these are little clouds going in front of it. But I don't think that shows up quite enough. So I'm going to remember that. And then there were some brown yellows, which thank goodness I had a batik. I mean gray yellows. I had a batik in the grays that I really did like. But I also looked at his art and found where the sun highlighted certain clouds coming down. So I cut those small pieces. At first when I drew it, I kind of simplified the pieces, but when I came back, I thought, no, I want more. I want more of the actual, the things that stand out in his artwork that you remember. So it's not perfect. There were times where I was having trouble getting certain things to look right. Like up here, the best color I had for this, I had this whole piece was this batik right here, but it became too strong, too prominent. So I came back in with some of the darker turquoise that was solid and just calmed that down a little bit. So some of my, the detail in his was wonderful, but I just got a little tired. It was so much work. Now, if I had a month to work on this, then I could have taken the time to do all of that. But you know me, life is only so long and I want to get quite a few things done. So I said, nope, let's see how I can speed it up just a bit. So I will do the stitching down of the pieces. Then I will do thread painting and definitions using thread. Okay, and that'll be on my domestic unless I decide I think I can handle it on the long arm. But right now I'm thinking the domestic. And then I'm thinking, okay, after that, what I will do. Now, during that time of doing all of this, I am going to feel free to alter, edit to whatever I think can improve this art. Always looking at the original, I always have the original in front of me. I started out doing the color blocking with a very good printed copy. Then as I got more and more into it, I wanted the original. Now things like these are little low clouds or reflections of clouds. They're a little too bright. These are still going to be too bright even though I've done some thread definition, thread sketching. What I will do then is bring out my Inktense pencils and my Inktense little cubes, I guess. I will bring out my Inktense, then I will bring out a mixture of 50% textile medium, 50% water, and I will start just adjusting colors, adding texture, all of that with Inktense. At that point, I will put a light little gray or gray blue on this to make it so that it's greatly toned down and it then just looks like a little wisp of a cloud down in the valley. And but then I can do things like define my leaves, add just a little more detail. If you don't have Inktense, because they're very expensive. Oh, thank you, Marcia, gosh. But if you don't have Inktense, go ahead and give it a shot with regular coloring pencils. And you don't plan to wash this, so that's fine. And with colored pencils, you don't need the fabric medium, but if you want to try it a little bit just to help set it, fabric medium helps allow whatever you're using to add on top of the paint, whatever paint or dyes. Fabric medium allows them to become part of the fabric, and that helps. It helps the feel of the fabric, and it helps the color fastness of the fabric. Because then when you're done with all of that, you're going to take and put a piece of muslin over it, and you're going to iron it with a nice hot iron, which should help set the colors. Now, to finish this off, I'm going to use my typical art technique of, I'm going to put a light woodsy color inner border, which is going to act like a mat when you have something framed. So I'll put a light tannish, nice matte looking border around the edge, and then I'm going to frame this. And I don't know what color fabric. I'll probably go dark. That's just kind of my favorite. But anyway, so this is where this is going. I hope to have a good amount of work done on this by next week, but it's probably going to take 2 to 3 more Sundays to get, probably 2 more Sundays to get this done. Just depends on how much time I can devote, because doing the zigzag around all these pieces does take a little time. And you know, the patience I get, Marcia Hahn, is I put a good audio book on and just zone out. And I've got plenty to zone out on this week. I am so frustrated because I found out that our national debt has soared up more than any time during Joe Biden's administration. And so our prices are up, gas is up, deficit is up, even though we're cutting all of these programs. And then they're cutting Medicare, and they're also cutting the subsidy for health care. So starting in October, people are going to get a huge shock when they get their medical insurance bills. And I found out that yesterday we gave Argentina $20 billion because they're going bankrupt, and the dictator in charge wants to win again, the election again. So we're cutting things for us, but we're throwing away $20 billion so another strong man can stay in power. And you can check all this out for yourself. This was not passed through Congress. This was just decided by one person, and we don't get a choice. That's our money that we paid in taxes. And yet, we were told, oh, it's America first, America first. Well, no, not if we're, and I've heard some experts say that it's not going to help the economy of Argentina. And in fact, right after this announcement, Argentina then bought a whole bunch of soybeans from China, and our poor farmers now don't have a market for their soybeans. So, but I'm not supposed to talk about this during the show. It's so frustrating. I apologize, but let's move on. Because I said that when things are tough, let's get crafting, and goodness knows it really, really helps. In fact, this week I put a little order from Walmart. I found these packages. They're 5 yards of the Heat and Bond, because I went through the other 5 yards I had, so I bought 2 packages of this. I think it was about $8 a package, and this is 17 inches by 1.25 yards, and it's 4 sheets, so it does equal 5 yards. So let me tuck this back in the drawer, so when I'm ready, I've got it. But I did use it to finish. I definitely did use it to finish my wonderful fall landscape. Not my wonderful, Mr. Reid's wonderful fall landscape, fall in the Smokies. So let me show you what else I've been doing, because I have to stay busy, keep my hands busy. I love how that Kate Jackson from The Last Homely House East of the Sea, she says, get out of your mind or your head and into your hands, and I do agree. Now you might wonder, what the heck is this? Is it a boomerang? Well, I was working on a project. I right now am such a fan of this little gal from Australia. Her name is her name is Samantha, but her channel name is Jessima Tutorials, and that comes from her sister's name and her name and then mom. So Jessima, or Ma, and she is wonderful. I have had polymer clays for ages and ages, and every time I would try to make something, it just came out looking wrong or bad, and it was so frustrating. And so then I told Mark, after watching this little gal's channel, I said, wow, I am so impressed. So I said, I want to learn what she's doing. So this is polymer clay. She was doing a pattern that made monarch butterfly wing designs. Now the one problem is she used a screen print that painted the black and then the white dots, so she could lay the screen print over and screen print the black lines. Well, I don't have that screen print, so I had to take some what are they called, markers with acrylic paints. I had a couple acrylic paint pens, so I used carefully. I wish I could have made the lines a little bit finer, but that's tricky to do. So anyway, I made them in, and then I did several coats for the white dots so it would show up. And then when I went to bake them, I baked them on regular printer paper, and that way it doesn't leave weird marks. I used to bake it on aluminum foil, but it left shiny marks, like it melted a little. So what I did is took a little bit of paper toweling and formed a little roll and put it under them so they would have a little shape to them. And then these are the little ones I did the same time. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, as the kids say, hi, so fun, that's cute. Oh, honey, thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm very, very excited because I'm finally making stuff I like. And so then what I did, because I'm thinking of putting these on a pendant. I don't wear earrings because no matter what I do, I get very allergic to, it's hard to get. You put the beads, I learned this from her too. You put the beads on a wire, and then what you do is dip them into a container of water-based polyurethane. And let me tell you, forget using Mod Podge or even triple thick now after using polyurethane. It dries very fast, just like triple thick, but it's so much easier because you put them on these wires and then you just dip the wire. You make the wire like this, you dip it in the can, and then I bring out these recycled containers and I lay the wire. So once I put all of the beads on, then I bend them a little bit to dip them into the polyurethane. Then I bring it back to the container. Whoops, okay. I bring them back to the container and I lay them, make sure I bend them back, lay them on the container to dry. Easy. I can't believe how easy. But getting them off the wire might be a little tricky. I love the wire that Mark got me because it's thick enough that it helps hold the beads in place. You don't want the beads to be touching each other when you dip them into the finish, because then you'll have an area of the bead that's not covered. Also, I hang them over the can after I first dip them so that it will, any excess runs right back into the can. Waste not, want not. And then I just, with my little paintbrush, when I notice they're sitting there and starting to dry, some of it might pool on the bottom, so I just take the paintbrush and gently nudge it off. And okay, here we go. And but I'm just taking off some of these beads so you can see. So the beads that I made to go with this, now she doesn't do much in the way of little beads that I've noticed. She's more into these beautiful signature pieces. But I just took and made some little barrel beads with the scraps of this. Whoops, let me get back down here. Okay. So I just made a few barrel beads, and I'm thinking I'm just going to put it on my elastic, black elastic cording that I love. And I'll put the bigger of these barrel beads in between these. To put these on the cording, I'm going to use a jump ring so that they hang like that. And then I will use one of these on either side. Then I will come in here with these, hang those the same way, and then these will finish off. And it's not going to be a whole lot of a necklace, but just a light touch. So now, I really enjoyed this. But then, the next thing I did was she did this. I thought it was going to be more butterfly wings, But it wasn't. What she did is she started with the butterfly wing, which just means I did a Skinner blend of, she tells you how much white, how much red clay, how much orange clay, and then you do a long piece of Skinner blend, then you fold it back and forth, make a block, and then make the block into a certain shape, and then wrap it in black. Wrap each, you're going to make a shape out of them, wrap it in black clay, stretch it out, cut it to where these are 6 slices of a triangular cane. So, and I was so excited at first, because when I first cut through the one cane, like here's a section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. And you have to make sure to make the canes add up. And they look great, but I was really looking for butterfly wings. So I want to do a little more than that. So anyway, I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Went ahead and made these, and these also got painted with the polymer, what is the stuff you, oh gosh, come on, what did I just say I was making them with? What am I, boy, I am so tired. I gotta tell you, Mark and I both slept like logs last night, because the night before we got warnings about flood and heavy rains, right? Oh, polyurethane. The word just came to me. Mark always says, hon, just relax your brain and it'll pop out. So I said, okay. So it works. Thank you, Mark. But, so we were sitting here, and it was heavy rain, and Mark had gone to bed just before me. I said, let me just finish this part. All of a sudden, I heard something that sounded like someone falling down the stairs or something. It was loud. And I went back there and said, Mark, I hate to bother you, but I just heard something really bad sounding, and I think it's out the side door. Well, we've got this motorhome that we want to sell, and we haven't gotten it fully ready to list yet, but we haven't used it in a while, so it's time to sell it. He gets the flashlight and starts looking, and sure enough, a huge tree branch the size of a small tree fell and punched a hole in the motorhome. And, you know, that happens. It happened once when we were camping in it. That kind of stuff. Polyurethane, thank you, so fun. You're so cute. And Bonnie, you're right, some of those would make great buttons. I thought, you know, these could be little earrings, put it on a jump ring. I don't know. I'm waiting to be inspired. But the button idea is kind of cool. So anyway, this is the reason I'm telling you this, because of why I'm so tired. So Mark goes out there. Let me come back. I feel weird talking to y'all when I'm not looking at ya. Oops, I don't need that one. I'm sorry. Don't mean to. I am going to be tired today, and I did not want to wake up this morning. Oh, I did not want to wake up. It's like, I don't want to get out of the bed. I'm so tired. But we look out the window, and there's this, the branch is this big around, and it is 14, 15 feet tall, and it's leaning up against the motorhome. Somehow Mark managed, and it was a dead branch, but still very heavy. Dead branches can kind of be like a sponge, so when they rain, when you get a lot of rain, whoa, they're heavy. So anyway, he got out there, and somehow yesterday he was able to lean it up and make it fall away from the camper. He said it was so heavy he couldn't believe it. So today, he had to get out there, check the damage to the motorhome, and he went out and he covered everything in case it rained again. And today he is actually going to do the repairs. He has done this before. Anytime you have 38 feet of motorhome with an 8-foot wide body and a flat roof, you're going to do this. So he's got all of the exact things that you're supposed to use to do the patching. But it was like we didn't plan on that. And so that's going to be handled, and then we're going to go ahead and get this sold, because it just shouldn't. It's just sitting there waiting for something to happen. So anyway, but that happened, and then me trying to get stuff done. And oh, the little red poodle, she went in and had a dental done, which we're real tickled. I called them up and they said, yes, make sure proper ventilation when using polyurethane. All of these chemicals, baking the polymer clay, you got to be careful. And I have asthma, so I don't take chances with that. But good job. Oh, yeah, life changes your whole schedule, and you just somehow go, okay. So, okay, now, whoops, now I'm going to leave that there and come back to my close-up so I can show you what I decided to do to do more work with monarch butterfly clay. So, okay, so then I noticed when I made these were leftover parts of the monarch butterfly, and I thought, they're so pretty, what can I do with them? These were the cut off ends, the parts you take off because they're not so good. And so what I did, because I made these as part of this before I actually cut them into the wedges to fit them back together, because this is called a kaleidoscope. So anyway, I had these pieces, these scraps left over, and I thought, you know what? I would like to use, and this is called a bib collar. This is going to make what's called a bib collar necklace. So I took all the scraps, trimmed them up, and stretched them and rolled them a little thinner. And what I did is under here is you might be able to see some of the, see the little striations? This is part of a disposable aluminum pie pan. And so I said, Mark, if you could cut that out. Then I took, you'll see where buildup is, I took and carefully with a flat pliers, took and bent the edges in so there wouldn't be anything sharp. And then I, what did I put on this first? Oh, I put a thin piece of clay on the metal and wrapped it so that these slices would have something to go on. And then, and I'm going to wear this next week and show you, and just, you can let me know if you think it would work or not. But, so I took it, and once I had this part on, I had it underneath, then these little pieces that I smoothed into each other. And then with the scraps, I made these little beads that can make a bracelet or can go on the black string that I'm going to hook this onto. But so I put that and baked it. Baked it 45 minutes like this. Then I came back when that was all cool and I put the black on the back. Trimmed it neatly along the edge, baked that for half an hour, or 45 minutes, pardon me. then when it cooled, came back in with the polyurethane. So let me go to the main camera because I'll show you what I've got in, as an idea for it. I'm thinking with a black shirt, a black top, having it like this, and might be cool. So we'll see. We'll see. And, but I was looking at them, and that's how I found out. It's called a bib collar necklace, kind of like Egyptian, something like that. But we'll see. We'll see if that works. But I just wanted to do something cool with it, and it didn't cost me anything since I had the aluminum pie pan. So you have to have something just to give the clay some support when it's that big. So I made little beads for that, because I love using up leftovers. Then I noticed when I was looking at this, I said, okay, the darker color was here and the lighter color was down here. What if I made that kind of cane? Because it's from making canes, and I've told you about the Skinner blend, and then you make them into like triangles so that you know, kind of have a rounded edge, and it looks really, really pretty. I can't really show you, but you want this kind of effect with the black on the edge, and then the lighter and the darker. I said, what if I made those canes again, and instead of having this at this pointy part, have the light at the top? And I said, because I looked at one of those canes, and guess what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a pumpkin. So I made some new canes, and look what I made. I had such fun. I put 4 canes together. I put a strip of green. I put some patterned brown for a stem, and made these pumpkins. So welcome to fall. Oh yes, please send me your work, and I would love to share it. Yes. So send me photos, and I'll tell people about them, because I love how Miss Hopi's getting ready for her big sale, and hopiesbags.com. And okay, so here are, and these would be so cute just on a little simple string or a key chain or whatever. And then to go with these, because not only did I make these, but I made earrings. These are going to be hanging on a little earring thing. I just think they're so darn cute. Now, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I think they're so cute. And to go with those, to use up the scraps, I made little pumpkin shape. I took the beads and put little creases in them. So like this one here, see, they're like little miniature pumpkins. So those are the beads that go with this, and I made a bunch of miniature pumpkins. So that's what I've been doing to keep myself sane this week, because I needed something to do. So here's another miniature pumpkin, but I just think they're so cute. So I don't know. I figured I'll have Christmas presents maybe. I don't know. I'll figure it out after that, but I just want to learn. I love learning these new techniques. I just have to make sure I use small enough amounts of clay that I don't end up with 50 pumpkins. But aren't they cute? And it's just using the Skinner blend, which gives you the color differential. And I'm learning it. That's the main thing. I am learning this, and it's just as cute as can be. So thank you to Jessima Tutorials. I don't know what I would do without YouTube now. Let me tell you, it has really changed my creative life. So, this is what I've been doing this week. And now, I haven't even tried to put these things together yet. So that's still coming up, is what do I do next? Here's one of the beads I made. Remember last week I was showing you my bead making? And it's one of the beads I made out of the Ethan Allen sales flyer, because I do love those. And I got all of the strips cut out. When I finally finish a necklace and bracelet with them, I'll definitely show you that. So, as you can tell, I'm keeping very busy because it's the only way I'm going to keep my sanity. I am losing my sanity. But what can we do, you know? All right. I just want to say it's a good thing Canada's cold, because otherwise they'd have a brand new citizen. So, okay, here we go. Let's see. Man, did I finish all of that already? You can tell that I'm just a wee bit... Oh my gosh. Mark is on top. Let me see if I can show you. Hold on. Let me see if I can show you. That man is on top of the motorhome out here. Let me see. Oh, I'm not sure y'all can see it. Whoops. What? Oh, no, he's at the back now. You'll be able to see that. But he's out there on top of that thing. Oh, goodness. I doubt you could see it, but makes me just a wee bit nervous, let me say. But it's a good thing he is out there on it, because I couldn't get up there. No way, no way. All right. Well, now, in saying all this, I have to apologize, because if you sent me any photos, I have to apologize. I haven't even gone on site. Let me just real quick check the email real fast, because I feel terrible when I don't get a chance to, that's not email. And I will show you pictures next week of what happened to the motorhome. And okay, let's see. Let me hear it. Okay, I clicked on the wrong thing. I'm just going to look real quick and see what I've got. I did download some. Did I do any this week? I'm not sure. Boy, I tell you what, if you sign up for National Quilting or if you sign up for anything like that, you're going to get 1.5 zillion emails. So frustrating. But, okay, let me go back up here and look at, I'm not seeing anything. Ooh, another thing I have to do is, Marshall's Dry Goods is having a sale on muslin. $2.95 a yard for the bolt. Yes, 10-yard bolts for $2.95. So I'm going to make sure I do put an order in for that, because I go through muslin pretty darn good. Every time I do an art quilt, I use them. The sun's coming in. Let me grab this. But how are all of y'all doing? I've talked so quickly that oops. No auto power off. Okay. But muslin is 90-inch muslin. $2.95 a yard. Oh my God, that would last me the rest of my life. So let me look and see if there's any pictures you might have sent. But I doubled my PBS donorship because they could really use it. And you know, my kids grew up on Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow, so many things, thank goodness. Pardon me for my hiccups. I don't think I see any emails from y'all, so I will apologize if you sent any. I hadn't even gone to the site to see. But I want to keep thanking our wonderful members like Bonnie and, pardon me, Marsha Hahn for sending us wonderful different sites and free patterns and all of that on our groups IO. Anyone who would like to join our groups IO, I'm going to write down that email address. Oh yeah, you're right, Lisa. She usually doesn't tell us until about 1st of November. That's kind of standard for her. And I hope we get that class. So Lisa and I are both going to the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party again. And I started going, I think, in 2012. So I love it. Now I look forward to it so much. So we signed up for Patty Klein and hope we get it. And it's just a sweet little, I don't want anything too extraordinary this year, you know. But, okay, our time to quilt at, gmail.com. So if you want to join our groups IO, it's free. We have fun. We can chat. We could, exchange free patterns. I do it every July. I do a week-long free class that you get to help. Why is the camera looking dark? Okay. And you get to help choose what quilt pattern are we going to make this year. And in fact, if you look right there, that was this year's quilt class that we did, all free. We used a paper piece pattern for that. And so we have a lot of fun. And we're not so busy that we're irritating you. But any of us that find something that's a good deal, we share. It is a long time because Lisa and I think she might have beaten me to mailing out. No, we both mailed on Tuesday because it was Labor Day. And we rush. Lisa and I can just see us taking out a checkbook and, filling out the registration. And boom, we want to make sure we get the class that we want. And I think every year that I've sent it out right away. And I've even made my hotel reservation. This is not going to happen until the 3rd week of January. But I'm already excited. So, oh yeah. Hi Debbie. Mary, our Mary. How is your sewing machine problem working out? I heard somebody the other day saying, I love sewing. And I thought, you're right. I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world. When I have a day, I can just sit at the sewing machine and sew something together. So, yes. That's okay. And your creativity ebbs and flows. I've come to understand that after, by the time you're 69 years old, you learn a few things. It ebbs and flows, but that's one of the reasons I keep such a broad list of things I love to mess with. And like my paper beads are nearly free. And I don't remember the last time I bought anything to use with it, except for the new bead rollers that Mark and I made. And so that, to me, is just, it keeps my hand busy. It's good. Did you find out if you're getting... Oh, thank you for asking, Miss Mary. I'm looking to make sure. If there's something... Oh, I haven't checked. I will definitely check Miss Lisa to see if I got that pattern that you're sharing with me. Thank you, thank you. I will definitely check. And what else was I thinking? But the polymer clay, I've had these buckets of polymer clay for 20 years. So for the most part, I try to, you know, stay on a budget. And in fact, Mark and I were talking, now that he's retired, at some point we've got to downsize. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, because somewhere I have a big box of basket weaving materials. I have a big box with gourds, because at some point I'm going to paint gourds. Let's see what else I have. I have scraps of clothing material, vinyl, all these things I'm going to do. Besides between 200 kits and UFOs, I mean, I've got this room down here and the guest room upstairs with my frame in it. How are we going to downsize by half? I don't know. But I think what I'm probably going to do is decide what to keep and what to pass on. So, but that's, and you know what? It's going to probably take me 2 years to downsize. So I guess I better get going on that pretty soon. But let me see what else. Oh, is the water-based polyurethane highly flammable? I thought the fact that it's water-based makes it a lot safer. I know with some of those type products, like the oil-based ones, they can spontaneously combust, so I'm real careful about that. Oh, yes, my paper mache. Mark's supposed to be, he was going to get all the fall stuff down for me this week, but the week kind of got carried away with us. But I made paper mache pumpkins and love them. I took a grocery plastic bag, filled it full of crunched up newspaper or batting, whatever, to make a nice pumpkin shape. Then I took strips of recycled paper and made up a paper mache batter, like flour, water, glue, white glue, something like that, and dip the pieces of paper in it. And the best paper, if you can do it, is newsprint. And I had some of that. And then I covered the plastic bag with layers and layers of newsprint and shaped it, you know, and then when it got dry, I painted it with acrylic paints and then put a sealer on them. And they are so cute, and they're lightweight, and they were free. So if you're hearing a theme, I love doing stuff for free. So, yeah, I've learned, Miss Mary, you are so good. But it's good that you reminded me, because I've learned with my asthma to try to really bring down, try to find an alternative to toxic chemicals. So that really does help. But I'm hoping Miss Mary she will let us know as soon as you figure out your sewing machine situation. That would be great. But speaking of pieces sitting in baggies, I need to put I only have a few finishing touches on my last English paper piecing project. And I already have Ruby Road or something. I already have the new project picked out and the fabric picked out. I just have to start doing it. So, and speaking of that, I want to, moving really helps clear out, but then you forget you had it. Oh, and then can't remember what you did with it. That's one thing. In fact, I'm probably going to have to write a list of what I'm keeping and what I'm giving away, so I won't do that, because I can see me tearing through boxes going, I know I had some of that. And it is such a luxury to be able to keep. Like Mark, he has all kinds of cords and adapters and all this stuff that he's collected for years. And when he has to give that up, that's going to break his heart. So, but we know that, you know, maintaining a good sized house and yard, that's just, we have 1.25 acres here, and it's just a lot to take care of, especially with trees falling down left and right. But anyway, what did Bonnie say? Loaded up. Oh, that's great, Bonnie. We'll have to go and check that. Bonnie is, you know what, Bonnie? With the weather getting a slight bit cooler, do you think it's gotten you going again? Bonnie, I talk about how I get super focused. Bonnie can get stuff done like that. It's amazing. So, if anybody is looking for a sew-along project, on the Quilt Show, Dee, what's her name? Dee, who does the Saturday Quilt Show episodes, she's just starting a brand new project with scrap fabrics. Go to thequiltshow.com and check it out. I looked at it and I almost wanted to do it, but I have too many things here that I already have ready. But yeah, it does, doesn't it? It just, you know, I want to make a pumpkin pie, and I want to, you know, hunker down and just sew and just create. But Dee, I forgot her last name, but she's always on YouTube on Sundays, and she represents the Quilt Show. She's got a new sew-along. You do have to purchase a book, but I found them used for as low as $16, but the class is free. They do offer, if you want, a fabric collection you could use for this, or shop your stash. And I've been doing that. I really have been working from my stash. And in fact, yes, this class we did this July, that's all from my stash. I forgot about that. And for the class that I'm going to take at Myrtle Beach, Lisa is way too generous. She gave me a fabric collection. She knows I love the French General Fabrics look. She gave me the most beautiful collection of that. That's what I'm using for this year's Myrtle Beach quilt party. But I'm just enjoying trying to use more and more of my stash. And if I need to get a new focus fabric or something I see I really love, then fine. But I'm enjoying doing this stash work. So I'm thinking about what we're going to start doing for our next project, because I will be getting this fall landscape. I'll show it one more time. If I show it enough, I might start bonding more with it. When I work too fast and furious, it's hard to bond. But I am, when I see it from a distance, it really helps. I want to tell you that too. I get so focused. There's a wonderful woman who's got this, she does the collage portraits and things. She's on YouTube. She has an easel that she's managed to set up to do her collage quilting. And that's a really good idea, because I lay it on the table in front of me. Well, that gives you a different view than when you're working at it in an upright position. So, so just kind of, it's really important if you work on a flat surface that every chance you get, hang it up where you can observe it, and pull back just a little, because we can get really hyper focused and a little possessive. And when you pull back, your brain does something. It finally lets you see what's there instead of what you thought, or what you thought you were putting on the fabric. And that really helps. Stepping away, taking a photo of your artwork, because that helps give you that distance. And it will help you with your color choices, your value choices, whether you have too many solids or too many prints that are reading busy. So it really does help to pull back. And I was going to tell you one more thing while I thought about it. When you're doing a sunset or sunrise, white put in really gives you that brightness that you need. The sunrise is yellows and oranges, but if you really want to make it look more realistic, then please remember to add that bright white to the most intense part. And I am going to go back around this, and I'm going to run some more light type cloudy impressions on that instead of just one thing. So, you know, you work on it, you step back, you work on it some more, you step back, and that's how it goes. Oh, you made your copies today. Good job, hon. Good job. Oh, thank you, Lisa. I was getting frustrated. The longer I worked on it, the more I thought I was failing. The more I thought, he's not going to be impressed with this at all. But I just have to keep going. Remember, you know, I just realized something. Ah, yeah, that is true. I was going to tell you. Remember, I always warn you when you do portrait quilts or landscape quilts. It's going to get to that awkward preteen stage. You know how we all do when the hormones go wild and then nothing fits. Our bodies are too big, growing too fast, things aren't quite there, haven't caught up yet. And you think, oh no, is this the best it's going to get? That happens when you do a landscape or portrait quilt. That's just what I was describing, that feeling of, I've worked so hard and I don't think it's working. Just remember to be good to yourself. Give yourself a little bit of patience, a little bit of gentleness, and step back for a while. You don't have to have it finished yesterday. Step back and see if you can get past that intensity, that exhaustion, and fall back in love with it. And stepping back might mean you make some changes. That's good. That's the normal, healthy process of making art. And remember, there's not a formula. There's nothing written. It says do A, B, and C, and then it'll be perfect. It's all subjective. If you like it the way it is and you keep liking it, then somebody says, I would do it differently. Do what you want. It is your artwork. You're investing the time and the energy and the fabric, all of that. So I just realized I had to catch myself because it's at that awkward stage for me. And it's probably more me. I'm tired and worn out, and I've been so hyper-focused on it. So it's probably more me than the actual artwork itself. But every art that you do, every piece of art you do, will go through an awkward preteen stage. And just give it time and keep going. And you can always, nothing's written in stone. And because we're not carvers. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this rose, paper piece rose, I might call it a peony, but that is a thought for coming up. And then you know how we did the mosaics and we enjoyed that? Wouldn't something like this be cool? Oh, I just thought, what if we did pumpkins? That might be fun, or gourds. So I will keep these two ideas in mind. I think I'm going to work up something like that in a fall display. And I like the idea of using the little squares. That makes you think. That makes you think of light and shadow in a slightly different way. So, and let's make sure we don't use tiny little squares this time. All right. Oh, good. Okay. Now, in fact, I forgot to see all who is here. Lisa, Hope, Laura R. Hi, hun. Our Bonnie, Mary, and Cheryl Hogan. Yay. And Mary is here. Linda Williams. Yay. And our Monkey Mary is here. This is so good to see all of you. Michelle Lang. I love our Michelle. And so fun, yay. So glad you're here. So it is really, really nice. And I learned so much from all of you. I learned so much from all of you. So way to go, everybody. It is just a joy. Debbie is here. Such a joy to see all of you. So, I watched The Cutest Show. I love giving y'all a shout out. I watched it on YouTube so everybody can see it. It's a National Geographic on YouTube, and it's Bill and Molly. And it's about a couple that just moved to the Shetland Islands. And the Shetland Islands are real close to the Arctic Circle. And he was raised there, and they moved back there. And what do they end up befriending? A little baby otter, an otter pup, who turned up starving. And they said, somebody said, yeah, they saw a mother otter dead by the side of the road. And so it probably had been her mother. And so they kind of made little places outside the home, safe, comfortable places for her. They went fishing and he bought a new used freezer so he could keep enough fish for this little pup, and they befriended her. They did not make her a pet. They tried very hard for her to stay in nature, and but she kept coming back to them, and they thoroughly enjoyed her. And for the husband, he had never had children, and I think he kind of got to this stage in life where he thought, oh, I've missed that. I missed that boat. And so this little Molly, the little otter, did I say it was an otter? A river otter, not a sea otter, but they live by the sea. And she becomes part of the family. So if you are ever looking for something good to watch, it's a National Geographic documentary, Bill and Molly, and it's on YouTube. So enjoy. But thank goodness for those TV programs. I tell you, they just keep you going. All right, let's go to show and tell, and then I think we're probably done. If you have today, since I kind of went through what I had to show you already. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free. Today's a good day to ask. All right, let's go to show and tell. And maybe I'll sneak and see if Bonnie sent me. I'd like to see more pictures of what she's done. So let me see what I can do. All right, I'm going to bring up pictures, and let's see. Let me go to show and tell. Another thing we want to do is we want to make some decorative fabric bowls, because our Marcia Hahn shared some of hers, and they are amazing. So, okay, so we'll keep that in mind too. All right, y'all? All right, so now we need to go back here. go to show and tell. Where is it? There it is. All right. So Alberta sent these wonderful pictures. I love her fall activities. Look at that wonderful fall table runner. And here are her 4 newest placemats. They're wonderful. Isn't that beautiful? That's a lot of half square triangles, but it is beautiful. And I love the fall colors. So way to go, Miss Alberta. And now, oh, let me check real quick. Hold on just 1 second, everybody. Let me bring up this. And Lisa, I did get that pattern. Thank you so much. Okay, let me see. Oh! Okay. Let me see. I see a Leslie Ann wrote me and asked for a pattern. I will definitely get that to you. All right. I'm not finding Miss Bonnie's work in my emails, so what I'm going to do, hold on once. No, it's going to take me too long. I'm sorry, Miss Bonnie. I would absolutely love to see it because I do know she's finished this one. I saw that in an email. And let me bring this bigger because now it's been quilted and bound. So that's exciting. But isn't that pretty? I just love that. I don't know what kind of flower that's supposed to be, but it's just lovely. The way to go, Miss Bonnie. And I'll make sure to highlight your pictures next week. I promise. Okay, so let's go back to them. Did I have something I just put down? And Debbie, and here is her summer class quilt, and it is Snail's Trail Alfresco. Okay, so now let's see who else. Yeah, I'm always loving when y'all send photos, so I want to make sure that I download them every time. I'm loving. Now, Miss Hopi, just because I show these things doesn't mean you have to have work accomplished on them, because Miss Hopi's so busy doing all of her artwork to take to an upcoming big art sale. So we have to just give her a gentle hug and tell her it's okay, take your time. All of us, we need to be gentler on ourselves and each other, because you know what? Sometimes women work so hard to be perfect. That's a lot of work. So here's Joso's, and here is her attic window. I bet you her weather's really... Oh, that's right. I keep thinking she lives in Colorado, but she's in Nebraska, like our Marcia Florum, our moderator Marcia. I love this one. All right, let's see who's next. And I will make sure, before I get hyper-focused in anything, that next week I first make sure I check all of your... You sent a few pictures. I hope I get them. Okay, I can try to check that. I love this of Linda's. Look at all of the different fabrics and the images in the fabrics. Oh my goodness, there's a deer. Every time I look at this, Linda, I see something new. It's wonderful. I love work like that. And look at the wedding quilt she made for her family. And here is a wonderful takeoff on that design. Or is it the other side? You know what? I wonder. That would be really cool if that were the other side of that quilt. I love her improvisational style. I've never been good at that, but there's always times to learn. And Miss Mary's, I love her splash quilt, because that's what I tend to call it now. We did some reverse applique, and I just love that. And her little birds. Miss Mary adds a little of her personality in everything she makes, which, how wonderful is that? So Marsha Hahn, one of the patterns that she shared, and anybody that wants one, you can either write me or go, it's on our Groups IO site. But if you wanted to make some nice chubby, take care, hon. All right, take good care, sweetie. Have fun with this new busy SCA season. And the pumpkin, you can get the free patterns for that. And it's a lot of fun. I've made pumpkin pin cushions. Lot of fun. And Miss Melanie, let's see. We've got, here's a picture of Dan. He had major surgery back in July. He looks like he's doing great. And his Willow is keeping him company. How sweet is that? What a dear dog. I know they don't know what they would do without her now. And then 2 of his quilts, which here is one of them. Doesn't that look like a man quilt? I mean, that's great. And here's another one. I just love the fishy and the fishhook quilt. Way to go, hon. Now, let's see. Then Miss Melton sent some great photos, and she has been showing us sites I'll never in my life get to visit Turkey, but if I can see photos and learn things, I feel like it's the next best thing to getting there. And this is the grave site of a man that they consider a saint. And there it is. So these are pilgrimage sites and sites that they feel like they get something from. This is the Asa Suvu site, where their religious teachings say he took his staff and struck the ground and water was there. And in an arid country like Turkey, that I can see why they like to, why that kind of thing becomes very important to them. And here is, I have forgotten what she told me about these, but beautiful, beautiful. I tell you, you can tell I'm tired today. Sorry about that, guys. So I just love those photos. Please send us your photos. It could be something that you're working on. It could be your garden. I meant to get garden photos today, and I didn't. And then I want to show you, my daughter is a high school science teacher, and she just got this t-shirt. Love it. Love it. All right, everyone. So, and don't forget, please don't forget that the things that we learn from history, it's to teach us, because if we're lucky, we live a long life of learning. And that's the best thing we could hope for in this life. Stay curious, want to learn, want to improve, want everything to get better for everyone. And just because certain photos are banned and forced to be hidden doesn't mean they never happened. They did happen. And we learn compassion. We learn how to grow as humans. We learn how to be better people by remembering history and learning from it. So, just thought I would pass that on. And just to say that Portland, we think you're great just as you are. So hang in there, everyone. And remember that little acts of resistance are like the butterfly effect. The ripples move forward, gather momentum, and hopefully we can get through this. Okay? Alrighty. I think that is it for me today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you'd like to join our groups IO, don't forget our amazing Reid of WenderAspire at Etsy. And I'm going to make sure that I put the shortcut down below in information. All right, take good care, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Do something special just for you. Every Monday now is a day off, and it's so wonderful. I can sleep when I want. I can just sit and drool if I want. I can watch my favorite YouTube shows. I can work on clay. I can do anything I want. So I hope that you have something like that that you can do too. And but do something special just for you. Okay, everybody? Mwah. Nice to see you, Miss Linda. I'm so glad you figured out how to be here with us. This is wonderful. All right, everyone. Yes, deconstructing history will never eliminate it or erase it. You're so right. Thank you so much. Everybody, have a great week ahead. See you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. You're the best.